I don't think I joined.
The whole point of the meeting is for feedback.
And with that joke, we're live.
Okay. Shall I kick us off?
No, I had unmuted and muted. I didn't join the audio when I joined the audio.
Okay, Chris has the microphone stick.
Okay. The conch. We should have
brought the microphone and just pointed at the person.
Okay.
And run that typewriter.
So what we're going to do is basically this is our if we're trying to get into this cycle of 2-week sprints, sprints will begin with planning, we'll execute, and then they end with a demo. And today is demo number 1 of our first 2-week sprint, which we're labeled Sprint M. So I have a goal document, and then I also have a project board. I think most of the work that's on the project board was for the front end. But anyway, first we'll talk about the two major goals that we wanted to accomplish this week, or this sprint. So first one was file system integration, which is essentially a command line, new command line functionality that will behave in a similar way to Git. It sort of abstracts the query data structure into a series of files. And then the hope is that those files are then editable in whatever tooling you want. So you can open up those files in a CSV editor, Excel, text editor, whatever. Basically, you can save to the file system and then run a query command to save those as a query data set. So we're going to see that as a demo today. And then the second goal, so this just walks through the desired wish list sort of user flow, which I'm sure has changed a little bit. Then goal number 2 is basically reimagining query desktop. So getting away from the sort of what has existed in the past as a sort of combined desktop and cloud query app, and saying we want to build this desktop app to kind of mirror the new functionality of the query command line, where it's sort of file based, and then make it so that it's basically a query manager. It's not really a search tool. It's for managing an individual data set one at a time on your machine. So we have plenty of work to demo on those 2 things. So I think CLI should go first.
Okay, sure. How do I use this app?
So requests.
Yes, now you should be able to share.
Okay.
Actually, that
You have
would
to
work.
sit here too.
Oh, a little hot chair.
Is it there?
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
he-
we don't.
he doesn't plug into that?
Doesn't have that shape of thing.
Okay, then it will work.
So if you share screen.
Okay. Very switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Share.
So maybe why don't you unmute and Chris, you that way it'll be
Works. Yes, let's move to mute.
All right, I think I'm unmuted. Great. All right, does this work?
Yeah.
Okay. First, I'm going to start off. Yep, good idea. Okay, what? Yeah. Okay, so the current functionality, the workflow that we have set up is mainly focused on just starting a new working directory from scratch. So you don't have anything yet. So the command is query init. And we're going to expand on this, but the current set of prompts just ask you for the name of the data set, which defaults to the current directory, so I'm going to call it work. And then the format of the body, that should be fixed, which I'll make CSV. Okay, so yeah, this now turns my current directory into a linked query data set. So if I list it, this file here, which might be renamed, is basically enabling this new functionality. And there's a sample body CSV and then some meta and schema information. So checking out body, rows. So I'm just do status first, just to see the current output for these files being not saved. Yeah, so basically these files that are here just haven't been put in the query yet. There's some discussion to be had about like how this UI is actually going to look. There's some bugs, of course, bodies missing. But anyway, we'll figure that out. So current step is just you can save it. It actually puts it in the query repo, and now running status should show me the directory is clean. Or right now there's no output, but that basically means that it's clean. I'm gonna say. Yeah, so far it's working. I can modify the file, just change that 3 to a 4, and now I think this might work. Oh wait, hold on. Just found this bug a few minutes ago. Bear with me. Diffing. Again, UI has to be cleaned up, but basically it sees that.
So
It diffs from
yeah.
what's in the repo to what's in your current directories. Yeah, which is
Nice. So useful.
yeah, it's a different kind of diff, but it's what you want to happen. Yeah. Running status on that should also show me that at least the level is changed. Okay, there's a bug. But anyway, we'll fix that too. Saving it, we'll make a new version. Cool. Yeah, so basic parts are there. There's a bunch of stuff to clean up, a bunch of bugs to kind of iron out, and many, many tests that we need to add, but put it along. For what purpose? So you can, someone else can status it? Oh. Okay. Wait. Oh, over the API, you mean? Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's not going. And then looking at 2025. Right, okay. I saw that. We need X something here? I don't know. Yeah. Cool. Interesting.
Yeah, so that's the output for the status just now represented as JSON over the HTTP API. So that when you just go to the desktop demo, this is like a handoff. So this means you have to query the bidirectional where various
Cool.
Sweet.
I want to make one more sort of comment in general about the sort of initial desire for something like this was that as a new query user, which I still am, the learning curve for figuring out where this thing is. Even if if I understand that I have a URL for a data set, for a query data set, I can clone that, or basically add it using the query add. Something will happen, but I still don't have data. But it's like having data in a Postgres database. You can't feel it through your operating system. That was a good analogy, but I still was like, okay, I want a file, and the representation of the data in that data set can be made into a file. And definitely we have that capability, and that's how we use it, but you have to know. Yeah, and I said we can just skip that step and say all I've got to do is clone the data set, one command from given the data set tab or data set hash. With one command, I can go to a CSV or JSON file or my house ready to interact with. I think that was the initial desire, and I think the well on the way to bringing that down. Support. So, all right, Brian. I don't know if you want to split this up or
Sure.
you can go first and talk about the
Read.
Oh, right, status doesn't
Yeah.
handle bodies yet. Cool.
Status is what?
Status doesn't handle bodies.
Yeah.
Especially not CSVs.
This is what's good enough.
I think that was like the biggest to-do comment that I had.
So let me, how do I change that?
Shit, you old
Someone
school.
help me.
You're doing
Okay,
great.
share.
Yeah, hit that button.
Big green thing.
And then,
I just double clicked on that first. Oh no.
oh yeah,
So,
let me just,
right.
let me do the desktop.
So,
Okay, cool.
More
So,
bigger.
how do I,
can you make the logo bigger?
what do you guys see? Okay, cool. So if I run this guy,
Oh yes, it's gonna show.
it's gonna
Yeah,
be
yeah.
bigger.
Right.
So this is in dev mode, but, okay, now bigger. So this is so the way that the app is structured everything is locked right now, but when you open it up and you've never opened up the Query Desktop app before, it gives you terms of service. You choose your peer name. If you put a peer name that's not kosher, it will send you back an error. And then it brings you to the main dataset page, which is what Chris has been chugging away on. Ooh.
Yeah.
And then when you click here, these are the lists of your data sets. If you want to filter through them, you can. If you don't have something, it gives you a nice message. And yeah, that's where we're at. We had a lot of work putting together. It's an Electron, TypeScript, React, Redux app. There was a lot of stuff.
Where's the repo?
Where's the repo?
No, not in the app. Like,
Oh,
GitHub.
it's github.com/query-io/desktop
Oh wow, thanks so much.
for everyone who wants to go check it out. There is one little other thing that there's one view that I was working on that didn't make it in, but I wanted to, nope, git branch app data set. Don't talk while you type. Wait, why is it, oh, check out and then if I end up here, there's just one more view that hasn't made it in yet, but is another fun thing. What else could we talk about here?
Well, actually, I mean, when you're done showing that, I'd love to talk just a little more about why we chose this column, or why we chose to lay it out this way,
Oh
and
wait, this is not.
what we can dream of for what goes in these
All right.
in these sidebar tabs.
Why don't you talk about it now? Because
Okay.
for some reason I think it's not.
I won't hook up. I'll just ask you that. Okay, so basically, this is, if you haven't figured it out, modeled after GitHub Desktop, which is a very effective and simple UI for tracking individual changes to files in the repo. So obviously, we're doing a very similar process. We do version control, but a query data set is not the same as an arbitrary collection of files, which is what a repo is. So instead of a files tab, we have a status tab, which is much simpler because in GitHub you can have 500 files in your root of your repo. But for query, basically we have top level components or components which we've abstracted to files. If you click on the status tab, which you are on now, we see there's a meta, there's a body, there's a schema. But basically, you can imagine what each of these things will do. But effectively, we want this tab to reflect the same thing that query status gives you if you type in a command line. So we need to come up with some visual way of letting you know that the body has changed and you can inspect that diff. So if I were to see that body has an orange triangle on it or something like that, I can visually know that it's changed. And if I click on body in the list here, the diff or something that can actually let me inspect it will show up on the right. I think what's also really cool about this is that we can do basically editing as well as presentation. So for things like meta, the idea, of course, was that you can open up the Finder, and if you're on a Mac, I guess, and just open up the JSON file and edit it manually. You know, most people aren't going to like manually editing a JSON file, so this thing can double as a JSON editor as well. Same thing for JSON schema, which is not going to be, you know, the schema is in JSON schema, but we can come up with a pretty intuitive GUI for people to be able to specify schema without having to write JSON. And I think that's probably a big part of the potential of this once we get further along. And then history, if you click on the history tab, it's the same as typing debug. So you should be able to click on each one of these and then see what changed with that commit. I think we're just on the right track for pretty easy user flow for new users. Yeah. Wonderful. So good. Yeah, I learned a lot of Redux this past couple days, and I'm excited to keep building this after this point.
This is so good. Cool. So, do we want to sort of end the demo there?
I think so. I think we met our sprint goals for this week. I think
Yeah.
we wanted to have prototypes, you know, functional prototypes of all of this. We wanted to have the app flow in place and know what it would look and feel like. And I think we have accomplished that. I think we are pretty clear on what needs to happen for both of these features.
Yeah.
And what we should do next is try and carve out like what is a reasonable end state 2 Fridays from now on both of these, plus whatever else we want to totally prioritize to work on.
Totally. But I think that, yeah, and it's really worth, I think, pointing out that, like, Chris, you came in and you're like, it's just, like, we have so many nice patterns in Git, and I think that, like, this week we really found, I don't know what you guys, I think that this flow already, even in its nascent form, is like an order of magnitude easier to think about.
And it depends, I think it highly depends on what you're doing and the way you interact with data, but it definitely highlights a certain use case we weren't servicing at all. Like that's the good thing about it.
Yeah.
You know, like there's going to be cases where I'm generating data from transforms and don't want to work with files, but that's one case. You know,
Exactly.
so, yeah. What's good here is like this is something that is bridging the gap.
Totally. Yeah. So I think all in all, just this whole sprint. This is our first sprint. I think, like, I would say smashing success. I feel like we really came out of this with something tangible and more direction. Very cool. All in all, super nice. Cool. Anybody want the last word on this?
I think we're good.
Cool. Sweet. Squad out.
Yay!
Good work and cut.